and welcome to another episode of Train Lee Installations. I am reviewing this locomotive that I just recently repaired and upgraded the installation on. It had been installed originally with a Zimo MX696S series decoder. I had to do some repair to the wiring, and then I moved where the decoder was located, and then I installed a Zimo Smoke generator. Now, for some of you, you haven't actually seen one of these. Let me show you this. This is a Zimo Smoke generator. These are really kind of a neat little generator because it fits exceptionally well into the smoke box. The wiring for it, it's set up when you purchase it to be able to plug directly into the MS950 K or the MS990K series decoders. I have in hand a MS990K series decoder. Let me pull the actual decoder off the locomotive board. This is the actual decoder and the locomotive board. The smoke generator is designed to plug into the back, or the cable that it comes with is designed to plug into the back of the smoke generator. And it comes with another end that can be cut off, and in this case I cut this end off of the cable and wired it directly to the decoder. But if you're using one of the Zimo MS950 K series decoders, you can take the other end and plug it directly into the decoder, like so. So the only gotcha with the 950 series decoders is that many of the original sound projects were designed to use FA6. The Zimo changed that around a little bit with the 950, and they use FA3 for the primary smoke generator. Now, the neat thing with the newer smoke generator or decoders like the 950 and the 990 is that they actually support by default 2 smoke generators. The other FA that they use, and it's already plugged in on the board and you really can't see it, is FA7. So a thing that has to be remembered if you're doing an installation and using one of these smoke generators and one of the older sound projects is that the sound project was designed to use FA6 by default. So when I update the decoders, now this one I unfortunately was using an MX696 series decoder, so I left its default as FA6 on the output. So that allows me to have smoke. Now, because the smoke generator has a slightly smaller fan on it, there's the fan, little teeny thing. You want to run the fan at a higher RPM than our standard smoke generator to produce the smoke. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the smoke for this one, and I've left it with F6 and going to FA6 to turn on that. So we'll turn on the smoke. It takes it a second or two usually to start producing heat. Let me see. There it goes. And it produces a lot of smoke. It is pulsed again. And I set it up so it can sit there and idle and put out smoke. Now, I probably could play with the heater settings a little bit and lower them so it isn't quite as heavy, but it's kind of cool with it being heavy. And then once you put the smoke, or the actual bear trap, the spark arrestor on top of this particular locomotive, it kind of spills out in the front of the locomotive. And then when you start running it, let's see. I don't know how well you can see that against the white background, but it's still putting out a bunch of smoke. Now, since this was originally a Heinz-Stappen sound project, I did some other modifications. For some reason, he had originally set up the sound projects to be muted using F8 and to be turned on with F0 when you turn on the headlights. Now, I already have the headlights on this, which is F0. And I moved that sound function of turning it on and off from F8. I removed the mute key completely. And then because of the availability of functions on this locomotive, I did go ahead and add the volume controls. But they're on respectively F19 to raise the volume and F20 to lower the volume. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it down a little bit here, so I'm not yelling over it. By default, I have the volume set up pretty high to start with. That was one thing. The other thing that Heinz-Stappen did was he would add the curve squeal, but it was just basically an on-off feature. Some modern programming allows me to set the same function key, only it now only plays with movement. So that is now F9. So I just pressed F9, and if I start moving it, you can hear that extra curve squeal. So I'll back it up a little bit here. I'll turn the curve squeal back off. And you might be able to see the smoke now pouring down the side of the locomotive as I'm running it. With the spark arrestor on there, it's still pumping out a lot of smoke. Now, I kind of like this smoke generator. It automatically will turn off after a few minutes, but it was actually because of the shape and size of the smoke generator, it's actually very easy to install in the Moguls. One problem with Moguls, a lot of times from LGB, is the smoke box, which is this whole front section, is glued on there to a point that it's not easy to remove. And I can't replace the smoke box anymore. So basically, the only way to get it off, I found, would be literally to cut it off and then replace it. So a lot of times I cannot install smoke into a Mogul. This one I did have to cut the weight, but it was nice because the top, this little piece that comes off, the exhaust port on the smoke generator, fits directly into the chimney of the smokestack. So, and then otherwise, the whole little unit just sits on the weight. And I only had to cut the portion of the weight off. I didn't have to cut as much as I would have to do with the our traditional smoke generators that we sell. So that's a quick review of some of the different things I've done with the locomotive. Like I said, I moved where the decoder was installed to the more traditional place that LGB installed its original electronics. And then I just updated the sound project a little bit by adding volume controls, removing the mute function, tuning it for the smoke generator, and then I reloaded that particular sound project with the DCC address and all the tuning that I've done to it, so that if for some reason the Locomotive, the decoder needs to be reset to the sound project defaults, it can be reset and not affect however I set the Locomotive out, which means that like the address won't default to address 3. It'll stay at address 8. And you can see as I leave the smoke generator running, it's producing a whole bunch of more smoke coming out of the through the diffuser and the spark arrestor, and it looks kind of cool like that. So let's see. Let's pull the spark arrestor off so you can see. The only problem with that is that it gets all the oil all over everything with the spark arrestor. Thanks for watching, and look for the smoke generators. If you're interested in one of the smoke generators, look for them on our website. I just ordered a couple more. They also produce a dual smoke generator. There isn't a whole lot of cost variance between the two of them. I don't have one at hand, but I can show you. The dual smoke generator looks pretty much like the single, except for it has a pipe out the bottom, and it actually has a secondary fan added to it. And it was designed really to just be a plug-and-play option for the using the MS990 with the Locomotive adapter board, or the MS990K, and then the MS950K series. And the difference between the K and the P between the MS950 is the K has the little screw terminals, and the P has little solder terminals. So they're both. I like the MS series decoders so far. They've been really reliable, offering phenomenal sound quality and so on. Once again, I'm Christine McNary, and this is Train Lee Installs. Thank you for watching.